Hello, for this activity, an asynchronous speaking activity, I'm using PearDeck to set up the students for the speaking task. So I wanted to show you a couple different ways to use PearDeck to do this. So if I start on our Schoology page, I have created a page here under my class, and I'm organizing by day. So the first day was the activity to introduce the entire project, and now we are on day 2. They would go to this link to complete the PearDeck that has their speaking activity. That link was created in Google Slides. To create PearDeck, you do need to use Slides, not PowerPoint. And then PearDeck is an add-on extension, and then you open PearDeck, and then you have access to all of the options. So to push out a PearDeck asynchronously, I start the lesson, and then I would choose student paced activity that gives me a link to share with the students. Okay. When I share that link with the students, they open the PearDeck and it looks like this. There's always a social emotional component for them to choose, and then they start their journey. Oops. Okay, this is at the end of the lesson. So let's go back to the beginning. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so the first slide, because this is asynchronous, they can work at their own pace and go back and forth in the slides. So they would start here. There is audio included if they would like to hear the instructions. They click on the headphones and then they can hear. For this activity, you will complete 3 steps. Okay. Or they can just move through at their own pace. Okay, so they would listen again to the story that I shared about my t-shirt. Okay. And then they have questions to answer. Okay, so in this case, let's say they choose Venezuela. Okay, what happens back in my teacher view, I can see how the students answered. Okay. And when they complete the entire PearDeck, okay, they had a chance here to draw something that my father liked. They had a chance to move their marker to answer the question. They would actually type questions here. Then the final slide of the PearDeck takes them to the Flipgrid where their speaking activity is located. Okay. PearDeck also allows for some stock slides to be inserted that help students reflect on how the lesson went. So when I go back to my teacher view and click through the slides, I can see how the students answered. So there are those questions that they asked, etc. And then when I'm ready, when students have had enough time to finish this activity, I can end the PearDeck. So yes, I'm sure I want to end, and then I can end it and publish the takeaways. And this saves all of the student responses for me from that PearDeck. Okay. The other way to use PearDeck is to start the lesson, and if we're meeting synchronously, I would push it out as an instructor-paced activity. This creates a code that students need to insert. The advantage is that this PearDeck moves students along at the same pace rather than just sharing slides and that they can move through the slides at their own pace. The PearDeck controls how we move through as a class. Okay, so once I have that code, WERXZD, I share that with the students. Okay, so this is the student screen. They go to peardeck.com, join, they enter the code, and then the PearDeck loads on all of their screens at the same time. And now this is the student view. And then here, I can start the class, and then we are moving through at the same time. Okay, so they can't go backwards and forwards in this case. But the same thing happens when they choose an answer. Back on my screen, I get their responses, and then if I want to show their responses to the class, if I'm sharing my screen, I can show all of their responses. Okay. So that is how PearDeck works. And in this case, I'm using it, as I said, to embed the Flipgrid speaking activity. And then, of course, all of those Flipgrids would come to my Flipgrid account. Okay, thank you.